Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to continue to learn about how to use the distributive property to expand expressions. So our objective is we'll be able to expand expressions using the distributive property. And today I want you to think about how the value of an expression changes when it's expanded. For your do now, you're going to be simplifying the following expressions. I'm not going to write the answers down here. You're going to do this on your own and then have it checked off by one of us. So press the pause button now, or do this after the video. So I'm going to write press pause. Press pause, complete, and then resume. At this point, you've finished the do now and you've flipped over to the next page. Here we're talking about how to expand using the distributive property. It says a family farm plans to add a blueberry patch to the end of their apple orchard. What is the total area of land that will be covered by the blueberry patch and the apple orchard? So underline the word total. So total tells us that we're going to be using addition. A couple of things that you'll notice is the apple orchard is 2.5 kilometers long, but there's no measurement here for the blueberry patch. The blueberry patch is 1.5 kilometers tall or wide. This is also 1.5 kilometers, and this is 1.5 kilometers. So if you drew a simpler example or a simpler diagram, this is our missing value. We don't know how long that distance is, but we do know that it's 1.5 kilometers this way. So 1.5 kilometers, that missing measurement, and then the area is 1.5 B. For the apple orchard, we know the apple orchard is 2.5 kilometers long and 1.5 kilometers wide. So we have 1.5 times 2.5. So that comes from here. 1.5 times 2.5 is 3 7/75. So when we write the area as a product, remember that's where we use parentheses. So we have 1.5 multiplied by the blueberry patch width plus 2.5 kilometers. Distribute the 1.5. That means you're going to multiply 1.5 times B. And then you're going to multiply the 1.5 times 2.5. We simplify it. We have 1.5 B plus 3.75. That's just coming from 2.5 times 1.5. So we do 2.5 times 1.5. Let's do another example on the next page. So in this example, we have to write the expanded form for the expression 3.6 or 3 6/10 times x plus 5. So in the diagram, we have 3 6/10. Here's your x plus 5. So for this blank here, we have 3 6/10 times t. So 3 6/10 t. Three and 6/10 times 5. They already did for us is 18. So if we come over here, we 3 6/10 times t and 3 6/10 times 5. And so when we simplify everything, we have 3 6/10 t plus 18. So the expanded expression is 3.6 t plus 18. I'm just leaving some extra space here because my t and my plus sign are going to look the same. So I'm trying to separate the t sign, t variable from the plus sign. Right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to do some examples on your own. You're going to have these checked when you're done. So you're going to have those checked when you're done and then continue with the video. Next, we're going to talk about expanding with negatives. And what I've done is an I do, you do. So in the example that I did, we have -7 times -5g minus 2. So the first thing I did is I wrote down my expression. I changed any subtractions to be addition. So this subtracting 2, I made plus -2. And again, the reason I do that is so that I don't have to worry about if it's a plus or if it's a minus problem. And I don't have to worry if I need to move the pieces around, because if it's addition, then you can move the pieces around. Next, what I do is I distribute. So the -7 gets multiplied by -5g, and the -7 gets multiplied by the -2. So that's what you see happening here, -5 times -7g plus -7 plus times -2. So we know that -7 times -5 is 35, so 35g plus sign, and then -7 times -2 is 14. That's your simplified answer. Do this one. Be the original expression. If there was any subtraction, we would rewrite it, but there's none, so we can just scroll down to the next cell. We're going to distribute, so that means we have to make sure we multiply -4 times -12v and -4 times +3. All right, so now we just actually do the multiplication. So -4 times -12 is +48. So 48v plus, and then -4 times 3 is -12. It says we should write two expressions. So another expression that we could write would be 48v. And then instead of saying plus -12, we could write -12 instead. So what you're going to do is, just like before, you're going to simplify all of these, writing two expressions if you can. You're going to have these be checked off when you're done. Just make sure I'm following the same directions. You're going to have these checked when done. Okay. So you can either press pause or you can continue, but right now should be doing these 6 problems and then having them checked before you go on. Last example is expanding when you have a variable. We did some of this yesterday. So the variable is just like the number. We're going to expand or distribute it the same way we did before. So we write down the problem. We change any subtraction to be addition. So this subtract 5.7 is going to be changed to plus negative 5.7. We distribute the variable. So we multiply c times 8 to get 8c, and c times negative 5.7g. When the variables are next to each other, it means that they're being multiplied, and we usually put the variables in alphabetical order. So we could write it as 8c plus negative 5.7cg, or we could write 8c minus 5.7cg. But these are both equal to each other. They're just different ways of writing the same expression. So the last example, we're going to distribute 2t. So we're going to copy the original problem. So we're going to rewrite any subtraction as addition. There is no subtraction to rewrite. We're going to distribute the variables. So we do 2t times w and 2t times 3. A way to simplify or rewrite this, so that would be our simplified answer. For this next one, you're going to make up a new problem. You're going to ask a classmate who's also on number 20 to expand your expression, and then you're going to check to make sure that they got the right answer. Then you're going to turn in your packet. So, just to review what you should be doing before we end the video. So, this page should be done. We're going to check it off, so make sure that all of these are done. Then you're going to do these 6 problems, and you're going to show it to us before you move on. So again, have these checked. So have these checked before you move on. So don't wait until the end. Have these checked before you move on. Same thing here. Have these checked before you move on. Okay, don't wait until the end. Have these checked before you move on. Don't wait until the end. And if you can, write 2 expressions for each one. And then make up an example and have a classmate distribute it, and then check to make sure they got the answer right, and then turn it in the packet and make sure it's completely done so you can get credit for it. All right, time to get started. If you need to go back to the front page, that's where you begin. Otherwise, you go back to some of those 6 problem groups and you work on those next.